Okay, thank you very much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about a resolution which was in the United Nations, a resolution condemning Nazism. Sounds like something everyone should agree on, right? So why did the United States, the European Union, and several democratic countries vote against a UN resolution which was titled Combating the Glorification of Nazism, Neo-Nazism and other practices that contribute to racism, xenophobia, and intolerance? So, were they defending free speech? Was it politics? Or is there more to the story? So today we break down why some countries opposed this resolution, what the hidden concerns were, and how geopolitics transformed an anti-Nazi vote into a global controversy. So first I'm going to discuss what was the resolution about. So the resolution introduced annually, which is normally introduced annually by Russia at the UN General Assembly, calls on states to condemn Nazism and neo-Nazism, prevent the glorification of Nazi ideology, ban symbols, propaganda, and organizations linked to Nazism, address racism, xenophobia, and related intolerance. On the surface, the language appears moral and straightforward. After all, Nazism is widely condemned as one of the most destructive ideologies in human history. So why the opposition? So secondly, I'm going to talk about the voting pattern. Have the Western countries, being led by the US, voted when this resolution is always introduced annually. So each year the resolution passes with a majority of votes. However, Russia, China, and much of the global south vote in favor. The US, Canada, most of the EU, and a few allies vote against. Some countries abstain. So this consistent split raises a key question. If everyone agrees Nazism is evil, what exactly are these countries rejecting? So basically, what they're trying to do is protect free speech and civil liberty. So what they have is a free speech and civil liberties are concerns. One of the biggest objections raised by Western democracies is freedom of expression. They argue that the resolution uses vague language. Terms like glorification and promotions are not clearly defined. So governments could use the resolution to criminalize speech, not just violent extremism. In liberal democracies, speech, even offensive speech, is often protected unless it directly incites violence. Critics fear that the resolution could justify broad censorship. Political dissent could be mislabeled as extremism. Historical debate could be restricted. In short, opponents argue we oppose Nazism, but not at the cost of fundamental civil liberties. Also, another reason is the fear of political misuse of this resolution. Another major concern is how the resolution could be used in practice. Western countries argue that some governments use anti-extremism laws to silence opposition, label critics, journalists, or minority groups as extremists, conflate nationalism, protest movements, or historical discussion with Nazism. The fear is not about condemning Nazism. It's about who decides what counts as Nazism. Once definitions become political tools, the resolution risks becoming a weapon rather than a safeguard. Okay, so the next reason is the Ukraine factor. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of this resolution is its geopolitical context. Russia has repeatedly used the resolution to accuse Ukraine and its allies of tolerating neo-Nazism, reinforce its narrative of denazification, frame geopolitical rivals as morally illegitimate. So Western countries argue that Russia selectively highlights extremist elements in Ukraine. However, similar issues within Russia or allied states are ignored. The resolution becomes part of an information war. As a result, opposing countries say the vote is less about Nazism and more about legitimizing political narratives on the global stage. So, in conclusion, why just not amend it? So that why can't Russia amend the resolution so that it can be acceptable to all the parties, even those in the West? Okay, so critics often ask, if the problem is wording, why not amend the resolution? According to opponents, amendments proposed by Western countries are routinely rejected. Russia insists on keeping language they see as problematic. This suggests the resolution's framing is intentional. As a result, some countries conclude that voting against it is the only way to signal concern. So basically, does opposing it mean supporting Nazism? Absolutely not. Countries that vote against the resolution also criminalize hate crimes, ban violent extremist organizations, participate in Holocaust remembrance, and support anti-racism initiatives globally. So their position is Nazism must be condemned, but not through language that undermines freedom, legal clarity, or democratic principles. So at its core, this UN resolution reveals a deeper truth about global politics. Even universal moral agreements like condemning Nazism can fracture when law, freedom, and power collide. For some countries, the resolution is a stand against hatred. For others, it's a warning against censorship and political manipulation. So the debate isn't about whether Nazism is wrong. It's about how far governments should go and who gets to decide. And in a divided world, even the most obvious evils can become battlegrounds. So what do you think? Should the UN prioritize absolute condemnation or legal precision and civil liberties? So let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and join the discussion. Okay, thank you. Bye.